Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about something different here. This is my stock pick slash trading strategy series. This week is starting in 21st, ending 25th on the trading days. I'm going to go through what I go through every day in terms of the process of finding these kind of stocks that I trade, as well as my trading strategy coming up for a week, considering the different catalysts and everything that's going on. Let's jump right into it. Now, I'm going to go first by identifying what kind of stocks that I look at every day. So I have two lists that I keep in mind. I have the one that is main catalyst coming up. And these are usually things like PDUFAs, for instance, on here on the calendar. I keep an eye on them. I go on and I check basically a bunch of these companies. And they basically list them events in the months. And I check, for instance, you got GSK's having some, Eton, AQ, ST, and I check which ones are more off in a better level than I would like. Which ones have a better potential of jumping up. Now, I don't just go and buy them blindly. That would be something that is dumb to do, in my opinion. I would go in and I'll double check on technical analysis. I'll go on through news. I'll go dive through them. But that's how I basically find these stickers. And I wouldn't go buy September. I'll basically buy them a month ahead. I try to see their financials. What are the options of getting an offering? What are the options of it not getting accepted? Have they offered it before? So that's basically one of my strategies. Right now, there's one that is basically is coming in mind. For instance, it's the ADMP. This one is way in November, but I'll be looking at it sometime, perhaps end of October. There is a bunch on there, but right now, PDUFA coming in towards the elections, that's a little bit rough. So what are some of the things that honestly are scaring me at the moment? And I'm not saying this as being bear or bull. I'm just basically I approach the market unbiasedly. Some of the things that are currently worrying me is the November dip. So usually there is a small dip that comes in around every election. And so that kind of thing is leaping with COVID and everything. Now, I don't think we're going to see a March dip like this one here, but this is a chart that I posted on my Twitter. So that is something to be considered. You had a caution signal a little bit up on high here, and then a sell signal on the trend line where it kind of crossed over in the trend line. I don't know if you can see it here. I can zoom in just quite a bit. Nope, that doesn't work. But basically, you can get to see here that 50 SMA and 20 SMA or 20 MA have actually crossed over, and they are crossing over again. And this happened a little bit this week, so that is usually a warning sign. But I'm really hopeful that the market would bounce back, but that's something in the back of my head that says, okay, what do I need to do to protect myself? That trend line has been broken. So I closed all my swing positions, all my investments, I've closed them, just to be fair, but just to be sure, right? And this happened before as well back in December, and you get to see here around December, it kind of like also broke a previous trend line a little bit around October. Around December, I cashed out. And that worked out well for me because I kept trading until almost somewhere around February, as soon as I heard COVID was a pandemic. And then I closed everything somewhere a little bit around early February. I'm thinking around this dip here. And then I saw the market rise and then subsequently crash. So it's always to be good to be early than late. So my strategy coming next week is no swings, at least for the short term. And then I'm going to be doing scalps / day trading. And this is basically going to be the video for this and explaining it how I do it. So coming in next, what are some of the catalysts coming up in mind? Okay, so this one here is on Market Watch. What you have is the Chicago National Activity Index and household debt. That is coming in on Monday morning, 8:30 a.m. and 12 a.m. Noon respectively. Tuesday is existing home sales, SAAR. Wednesday, you got the market manufacturing PMI and market services PMI for September. And then Thursday, you got basically these are a bunch of things. Probably the most things you're going to be concerned about is initial jobless claims, although these basically never really have much of a meaning anymore. And then you got the core capital good orders and durable goods orders. You'll notice that usually on a Thursday, that's when we get red days. So I usually make sure to close everything I have before Wednesday, and then perhaps buy them Friday evening or Friday midday, and then sell Monday or something. That's been my strategy because Thursday is when you get the jobless claims and people remember, oh, we haven't recovered fully, even though the market doesn't show it. Moving on, Moving on as well, there is a bunch of things as well in terms of Jeremy Powell, talking in front of the different houses. So, for instance, we're starting in on Wednesday. We have Federal Chairman Jerome Powell is expected to testify to the House Select Subcommittee to the coronavirus crisis about the central bank response. So that's a little bit scary sometimes, because some traders would look at it and be like, he said just one thing that is kind of bearish, or it doesn't look like, economy is going to a V-recovery, it drops. And then following in by Thursday, Federal Chairman Jerome Powell and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin testifies to Senate Banking Committee about coronavirus relief. So that's another one on Thursday. Another dangerous one for me. So do expect that you'd probably be trading more around Monday to Wednesday rather than Thursday and Friday for me. Moving on. What are some of the big events that I can think of on top of my head? Because every morning what I do is I go on, I check CNBC, I check Reuters, I check Financial Post, and I go through everything. There's no website that I'm not going through. Yahoo Finances, Global Newswire, just because I do want to check all the latest things happening in the world to try to understand what trading stocks I'm going to be doing. So right now it's a little bit spammed with TikTok and the US ban, and so that might be good for stocks like IDEA. It might be good stocks for Walmart, Oracle, Oracle, Walmart, and what else was there? Microsoft, yes. So that could be maybe perhaps some jumps. I wouldn't count on it because it's honestly been like flip-flopping at this point. Yeah, we're banning it, now we're banning it. We're banning it, we're selling it. We're selling it, we're not. So it becomes a yes, no, yes, no, no, yes. I don't care. So moving on to another kind of category. Now, one of the best scanners that I use is actually, it's Finviz, but I also use one that is on my broker. So I got different levels. So I got, for instance, the ones that I want to find them as price gappers, the ones with interesting volume and at a price percentage of above 20%, and around as well the changes in 3 months to be above 20% and positive. So I have different 3 screeners, and they each have different meanings. So the first one is usually to try to identify which stocks from the day before have actually gapped up, and the reason is that sometimes it comes into worthy news, and I'll show you how to identify ones that still see breakthroughs even after they gapped up. The second one here is volume spike and having to be above 20%. The only reason I put it that way is because I want to see what stocks are moving and they're not pumped. Because, pumpers can probably get around 10 to 15% up. 20% is a little bit of a stretch. So I really like to look at 20% and higher, and then note them down, and then check what news they ran. So after I get them down, I go to websites such as fintel.io. I write down what the stock name is, and then I check all the latest news, every conference. I go on Twitter and whatnot and check what the buzz is, right? Is it a pumper? Is it some kind of pumper on Twitter just pumping it, and then I just leave it? I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to follow, because they usually pump and dump. And, when they're dump, they also short. Even though they blame the bears and all that stuff, but that's the trading market, right? On the way down, you want to make profit as well. What else are we looking at? Finviz as well. So I have different kind of strategies here on their filters. It's a really nice scanner. It does a job. It checks in. It has a 15-minute delay, but if I do it in the morning, then I'm just doing, like I'm usually doing it different intervals of the day. But I find my broker to be now a lot better than Finviz in their screener. But some of the things that I look at is average volume. I want the average volume to be something over 1 million. Why am I saying that is, imagine trying to buy something and it takes forever to fill. I would like a bit some movement. You want some hype in it. Relative volume, I usually go over 2 during the day, and then somewhere around the current volume, I don't care much about it because I said over 2. And then technicals, I would really like it to be, for instance, some things like not overbought around 50, and I get to see around 183. So perhaps I would like the float to be below 15 million, so it's easy to jump. Okay, so you only got 2, right? You got SDGR, you got NAKD. NAKD looks like it's on a fall. SDGR looks like it might be curving up. Well, I don't care about those ones, so I'm gonna go to 100 million. And you start seeing, well, Bill might be looking nice, right? You get Cope here, looks like it might actually be oscillating. So basically check these out, but that's basically the last strategy I would go for. Usually during the day, if I want to see what kind of stocks have gappers, I'll just click to the change and then see which ones are highest, and then try to see why they got higher, and if I can scalp it, and if they have still momentum. Sorry, there's a lot of talking that I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to explain everything that I'm doing this week. Sorry. And then coming up to one of the latest news that is coming up, right, is the Tesla Battery Day. So the upcoming Battery Day, that has been for last week as well, and I do expect for it to have a little bit one last push on Monday for that kind of week to be the stocks that are jumping up. So some of the stocks that I'm looking at right now is LAC. So this is a Toronto one, but I'm talking about the LAC in general. They do have just the general stock on NYQ, which is NYC. Yep. And so they are a lithium company. I do have a DD on my channel if you would like to watch that one. And then I have as well PLL. This one has been halted on Friday. So that's interesting, and they were pending news until Tuesday, which is Battery Day. So you might see it jump just a little because of that. This is their website. And then you got SQM, another battery one as well. Trades on NYSE. And then you got LTHM. So these are all on my watch list for Tuesday, for Battery Day. Of course, there's Tesla as well. You do expect for it to jump just a little. And I start seeing that there is a lot of focus instead of small caps on mid caps. For companies trading, I would say between, $8 and $50. That's been a lot of the interest. Previously, you heard stocks like a lot of hype on IDX, XPA, UAVS, and the list goes on. Now it's like Workhorse, WKHS, LAC, Tesla, and you start seeing that even the new traders are looking right on that. Could be something where they're being beat up by a lot of stocks like Zoom and CTRM that have been putting in a lot of offerings. But yeah, that's it. So how to identify? Well, okay, you told me about these stocks that you check on the gappers. I just go all in. The answer is no. I would never go all in. But for instance, a stock like this here usually sees a little bit of momentum, okay, and then keeps going, and then somewhere around noon, from somewhere between, I would say, 11:30 to 1, that's where the action starts kind of happening. Just around lunchtime is where it starts cooking. So you get to see here around 11:51, right? It does jump. This is SOL. It does jump, and then it dips down just below the VWAP, just a little. And then at that point, the RSI becomes in at that level oversold. I'll buy around here, and then I would hold. And then you'd find it. I would definitely put a stop limit though on the next support, right? So the next support that I put it on is around $1.78, and you get to see it here. So around $1.78. And then basically there is a risk. I'm not putting 100% in. I'm just going in a small position, and you get to see it all the way going from $1.80 to $2.20. So that would be basically the maximum of the day, and that will come out to be somewhere around 18%. If you're putting 18% down at $10,000, you just made $1,800. That's how I'm trading these days coming in. Now, of course, the stock did go on and move the way higher highs around 275, so it would almost double from the entry that we did. But I usually sell when the RSI is oversold. So somewhere around this region, I'll definitely sell. And then if I always also check if there's news, right? If it just jumped because some pumper mentioned it on Twitter, I don't touch it, because with every pump there's a dump. So that can be a little bit tricky. There's another one as well that I did trade just recently, KNL. And with this one here, it was also interesting. So traded it somewhere around this area here. And so what we did here was, soon as the RSI kind of dipped down, it still kind of looked a little bit bearish at times. Sorry, around just about here. It did look bearish between it, but the stock was increasing in terms of in price, so we kept it. And what we usually do is we keep level 2 on the side, so we check where the walls are. If there's no walls on the sales part and there's a lot of bids, I usually hold. So First buy came in somewhere around this area here, about a few, and then it kind of jumped down, and then I almost considered selling here, but I did see it still bullish on level 2. Ended up buying a little bit more around here. Of course, my stop limit, by the way, was around 1307. Then held on more, and then just about here I considered selling because this is a Death Star, right? And then just about here where it started breaking through, I averaged up, and then I held because of level 2 looking bullish, and I sold somewhere around here. You get to see that, sorry, around this area here. And that's because the RSI was oversold here. But you get to see that it actually jumped all the way up to 1449 from our entry. So you do miss some, and you gain some in terms of the maximum revenue. And that's fine with me because that's risk and analysis, right? And here's another one, and this is a risk one that I would just like to really share with you. This is ENSV. This one did follow almost the exact same thing, right? It jumped up and then it kind of gained almost all momentum. Let me check here. It was, yeah, it gained kind of momentum, and then somewhere around here I considered buying a little bit around the 101, but I didn't for one reason. Even though the RSI looked bullish, sorry, looked like it has potential, the 200 SMA was above the 50 SMA and the stock price was under the VWAP. So you got to be very careful. It doesn't mean that I'm just showing you these 3 indicators, that's all I go. I actually go back to my main one that I do all my videos on. I usually check either the 1 hour or the 15-minute interval. And then I check, for instance, things like the MACD, what the ADX is, and if it's kind of signaling in a breakthrough. Like you get to see, okay, if it's dipping the MACD, then I wouldn't touch it. If it is going on, I would. So that's been a lengthy video. Just to sum it up, some of the companies that I'm looking at right now is, for instance, LAC, PLL, SQM, LTHM, and that's the companies that are more battery based coming in for Monday. Expect on Tuesday for them to fall. It might actually still see a run. Tesla is on there as well, but in terms of swing positions, I'm not going to be doing any swings this week. I'm just going to do scalps. What do you think about all this, and what's your input on coming up for next week? Make sure you mention down in the comments below. Share this video if you like it, subscribe, and leave your notifications on, and have a wonderful day.